important to you. So spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world. Now on to our show with your host, Peter Mingles.
Hello everyone, Peter Mingles here. We are live on Building Fortunes Radio, but you might be listening to this actually through one of our recordings. See, we do this radio show every Wednesday night, 11 p.m. Eastern, with a great friend of ours. His name is always Mr. Ray Gebauer. And we also put this on audios, and we put it all over the place, turn it into movies. So depending on when you might be looking at this, you might be here live, or you might be listening to one of our archived audios. Today's a very interesting day for lots of reasons. And one of the reasons why I built Building Fortunes Radio was because I wanted a platform and microphones to be able to pass around to people doing and saying the right things in home-based businesses. So we have a new president for those people that are listening in. It's January 20th, 2021. I usually don't date the radio shows, but I think this is kind of an important one because there's a lot of things that happen during these dynamic times. So it's a great opportunity for a lot of people to do some thinking and some planning and a whole bunch of things, and part of that might be doing something with a home-based business, and that's one of the reasons why I really love having Ray Gebauer here on our Building Fortunes radio show, because you need a mentor, you need a leader, you need somebody who's going to be strong, you need somebody who's going to be able to help you get through the stuff that you need to go through if you're going to be doing anything significant, and especially if you want to be number one and build a home-based business and get to the top levels and do all the other things where you want to be number one in. And Ray's got a great message for you, I am sure, but he does messages for us every Wednesday. If you go to buildingfortunesradio.com/Ray-Gebauer, Ray, and then dash like the minus sign, Gebauer, Gebauer, you'll be able to hear this as well as the previous radio shows. So it is with great respect, admiration, and appreciation that I have Mr. Ray Gebauer on our radio show. Ray, thanks for being here. Mr. Ray, I think I turned you on the microphone, but I'm going to turn you on again. There we go. You're turned on twice.
Okay. I'm really turned on now. So can you hear me now?
You are. Really, I can.
Okay, great. I'm always happy to be here, and man, I wish I had 2 hours to share, but I got 25 minutes now. So this is the one episode that you definitely want to hear, and maybe hear more than one time, because we're going to play off this simple 3-letter word, one, because you'll see. I think this will be, and the reason I do this is, I want to make the world a better place. Starting with your world a better place for you, especially with this new year, especially after what we've gone through in 2020. And I know for probably some of you, a little bit stressful and challenging, and for some people it was disastrous. So like Peter said, this is sort of a new start this year. We have a new president, at least for now, and so this can be a new and better year and hopefully make up for what happened last year. And so to help facilitate that and maybe celebrate that and just help you make this a better year and a better life, I got a secret formula for you today based on the word one, and it's an acronym. Before I get into the 3 key words of the acronym and some of the stories, let me just give you some comments about the concept of one. Now, depending on the context, one can mean only one, like I only have one left, or I'm just one person. But the point I want you to get that could be perhaps life-changing is that even though one is a small number, in fact, it's the smallest number we have other than a fraction or a decimal point or a negative number, this one can make a big difference. It's a small number, but can make a big difference. And I'm going to show you that there's power in one. And I'm going to give you a few examples. Let's start at the very top. God is one. You are one. One can make a difference. The human race started with one person. One being one of mind, or oneness of mind. Unity makes a difference. How many points does it take to win or lose a game? 1. What happens if you misdial a phone number by one digit, or you're off on one digit on your password? How well does that work? What happens if you're just 1 minute late for a plane departure? 1 makes a difference. The axis of the planet Earth is tilted at 23.45 degrees. A change of just 1 degree is enough to cause another ice age on the other side of the planet and a complete meltdown on the other side of the globe. 1 makes a difference. 1 apple seed, properly planted and cared for, can lead to an orchard of apple trees and thousands of apples and multiple thousands of seeds. On the other hand, 1 spark in the wrong place, 1 match, can wipe out thousands of trees. 1 can make a difference. In 1923, 1 single vote gave 1 man the leadership role of his political party. It was the Nazi Party, and the man was Adolf Hitler. 1 makes a difference. A bill sent to the U.S. Congress prior to the American Revolution proposed to change the national language from English to German. The vote was tied, and a single 1 vote was cast by a German immigrant who broke the tie for English. 1 makes a difference. Every historical event of significance was because of 1 single person who made a difference. All throughout history, you go back to people like Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, Martin Luther, Columbus, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. Every single mother and father, just as 1 person, makes a difference. So here's the bottom line. And you got to take this personally. This isn't just a review of historical examples. This is really about you. You are 1 person. And even though you're only 1, you are the one for what you are called to do in this time in history. Each person with whom you share the gift of your opportunity or the gift of who you are or a concept or an idea can make a profound difference that can sometimes affect generations. And the possibility that just this one idea or this one conversation can make a difference for thousands of other people. So I'm here to say that you are the one. Be that one. This is really dramatically illustrated in the famous movie, probably my favorite movie of all, The Matrix. This guy starts off as a nobody, a computer programmer, sort of a nerd, and even through his uncertainty and his lack of belief initially, he became the one to make all the difference. So with all that said as a sort of a background and context, let's dive a little bit deeper, see what buried treasure we can find in the 3 letters of O-N-E. But first, just for fun and games, like we usually do here. Now, Peter, what's your best guess? What am I going to talk about? What 3 key words here based on the acronym ONE? This one success formula.
My best guess is a little bit on the creative side. The O in ONE stands for take ownership. The N in ONE stands for never. And never might mean never quit, never listen to the people that don't make any sense, never buy somebody's wrong story, blah, blah, blah. The E stands for everything. Like if you want to be number 1, you got to give it everything you got. So we're going to go for ownership, never, and everything. Back to you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, good guesses. I could go with that.
You could.
But unfortunately, you sort of struck out. And all. But nice try. At least you swung the bat. At least you're in the game, right?
Looking for it.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of good choices on these words that start with these letters. Like for the O, I was going to use the word on. You got to be on versus off. You got to be on your game. You got to be on it. And a few others I considered, but what I ended up with is one of my favorite words that I think is particularly appropriate for being at the beginning of a year, and it's the first month of the year, and is the word optimistic. And I like optimistic. Is the base word of that is from which we get a optical, like optical lens. And in the Latin, it has to do with seeing. So optimistic means that you see the future in a positive way. Now, pessimistic is a view of the future from a negative perspective, like you're anticipating things are not going to go so well. But optimism, being optimistic, is a view of the future where you are expecting things to go well or things to get better. Now, the equivalent word to optimism, in my opinion, is several, but one of the words is faith. If you have faith in something, whether it's faith in yourself, faith in God, faith in your parents, faith in the government, well, probably not that, but faith in something, it means you are expecting something good is going to happen. That's being optimistic. So if you want to be powerful and influential and have more influence, you have to have this energy, this faith, this belief, or optimism as like your foundation. If you don't have that, it's like building your house on some sand. And then it's just, no matter how beautiful and wonderful the house is, eventually the storm is just going to wash it away. So you got to build on the foundation of whichever word you prefer, belief or faith or optimism. I like the word optimism because, it sounds really much more positive to me, actually. I think they're all the same. But so optimism or faith is an expectation that good is coming, that's going to get better. Now, we don't know if that's going to happen for sure. You might expect to have a great crop if you're a farmer, but then a hurricane comes or early frost and wipes everything out, and it's a disaster. But you have to have that mindset of expecting good. And so if this season was a disaster, well, then you make up for it next time. You swing the bat, you are optimistic. You're going to hit a home run. And you could strike out. Just because you're optimistic doesn't mean you're going to get what you want. But you're in a much better position and more likely to get what you want when you adopt this positive mindset of expectation, of being optimistic. Okay, I need to watch the clock here. I'm running out of time. So optimism, that's really always the place to start, with your belief and in yourself and what you're doing, in your cause, your purpose, your mission, and just coming from the place of being optimistic. So that's the O word here in this one word of one. So I thought about using never. That's a good choice. I thought about using the word now, nourishing yourself and nourishing others. But I thought what would be more congruent with this new year, evidently a new president, and is the word new. So, there's value in old things, but, people tend to like new things. And people usually just feel better just when something is new. Like you get a new house or a new car, or it's a new year, or a new job, or a new business. So, the idea of newness carries with it emotionally the feeling that this is better and it's an advantage. But the other aspect of new is, rather than just you happen to be the recipient of something new, like on the calendar, it's a new year. More importantly, isn't what happens, but what you create, starting in your mind. So if you want a new and better life, you've got to create that in your mind. You have to have a new perception, a new vision. You have to have new thinking. And like the famous book, Think and Grow Rich. It isn't just you're thinking about anything. You have to think about the right things that will lead you to become rich or successful, whatever rich means to you. But it's new thinking. A parallel word to this concept of new, particularly in regards to new thinking, is a commonly used biblical word that I think is underused, and that's the word repent. Now, repent doesn't mean you're sorry for something particularly. Repent means a change of mind. It's two words in the Greek, meta, which means change, and nous, which means mind. So it's a change of mind or change of thinking, but changing your thinking to a new perspective. That's the word new, in such a way that you change your attitude, you change your behavior, you change your habits. But until you change your mind, you're stuck. As Jim Rohn said, for things to change, you've got to change. But you can't change just because you say so. There's no power in willpower. And you say, well, I decided to do this. Well, so what? Everyone decides every year they want to lose weight, and they want to make more money. So decision doesn't necessarily get you anywhere. It's not bad. It's just not really that helpful. But it's the right kind of thinking, new thinking. And a similar word to new here is renew. Because some of the things you need to be thinking about is stuff you already know and maybe you just forgot, and you need to renew that thinking. Renew your belief in yourself. Renew your belief in what you're doing. Renew your belief in God. So the Bible talks about being transformed by the renewing of your mind. So it's the renewing your mind means you're thinking new things, new thoughts, the kind of thoughts that are optimistic, based on faith. Otherwise, you're not going to get far. You're going to go sideways and basically, eventually downhill probably. So you have to be optimistic. And part of how you get there is you have to have new thinking, especially here in a new year, and especially even more so with the new president. And we don't know what's going to come out of that. So you need to be resourceful and do what you can to create your own better economy, your own better world. And so do some new thinking. Sometimes the old ways just are not that effective, and you need something new. And part of how you do that is you tap into the power of imagination. Like Einstein, I love this quote from Einstein. He said that imagination is more powerful than knowledge. Knowledge is already what's happened, what we already know. But if you don't want to settle for what you know, you want to go beyond what we know to other possibilities. Imagination, you use imagination as a way to look at the future in more creative ways. And in fact, optimism itself, or faith, is based on imagination. Out of our imagination, we can either imagine the worst case scenario, which generates fear and anxiety and paralysis, or we can use our imagination to empower ourselves and have a vision or a mission and see positive possibilities as opposed to negative possibilities. So both faith and fear are based out of imagination. Just how do you use it? So you want to explore, utilize your capacity to imagine things, to envision. And out of that, you can solidify your optimism and a new perspective. And let's jump to the last letter here, E. So along with in the success formula and being optimistic and new thinking is the word I chose was energy. Now, I've talked about this before, but it's so important and so fundamental. I just got to talk about it again. For anything to work in life, you got to have energy. For your car to work, for the lights to work in your house or the internet or your phone. You need energy for your body to work. If your body goes down to zero energy, the other word for that is you're dead. If your cell phone battery runs out of energy, it's a dead battery, right? Until you recharge it. So we all need energy. Now we need physical energy, like we get from food, calories, and we need mental energy, or probably more accurately, emotional energy. Thinking, I guess, is a form of energy, but the energy that moves people and makes a difference is emotional energy, also known as emotions. And if you look at the word emotion, E is short for EX, which means like out, like exit. And motion is moving. So if you want to get out of where you are and move forward, that's emotion. And so that's the only reason anybody ever does anything. Whatever you do, it's based on whatever is the strongest emotion at the time. Now, you can't directly choose an emotion. Emotion is the automatic response to a given context or situation. So I can't just say, well, just be happy or be sad or be glad. There has to be a reason for that emotion. So emotions really come from our thinking, which goes back to what we were already talking about, being optimistic and have a new perspective. So if you want to think and grow rich or think and grow thin or think and grow and be happy, you have to think in the right ways, some new ways, and that will determine what emotion that you have. Here's a quick example. And you love your job. It's a great job. And all of a sudden you lose your job. How are you going to feel? It's impossible to predict because it depends on the person's perspective at the time, what emotion they're going to have. People are going to be angry. That's going to be their emotion because they view it as an injustice or injustice. Some people are going to have anxiety. What am I going to do now? What if I can't get another job? I could lose my house. So it could be anxiety and fear. Some people are going to be sad. They're going to be depressed because, this is more than I can handle. So that's the emotion that's going to be automatically generated. Some people are going to be happy because they have enough faith and are optimistic enough. They say, well, when one door closes, another door is going to open. So even though I lost something great, the next job's going to be even better. So I'm excited to see what that's going to be. I believe in God, I believe in myself, and so they can be happy even though they lost something good. So how you feel, the emotion, depends 100%, well, almost 100%, on how you think. Now, we also can be influenced by other people because emotions are contagious, and emotions can be affected by biochemistry as well, by toxins and different foods. But for the most part, emotions are determined by our thinking. So that's why we need to think properly, think with wisdom, because that's going to determine how we feel. And the emotion determines if we can do anything. You might give someone the greatest opportunity in the world with the product that cures cancer and everything else, But so what? They're not going to do anything unless they feel strongly about it. So we have to have the kind of conversation where we touch their emotions, where we use a story. We let them feel our energy because energy is contagious. If you're around sad people, you start to become sad. If you're around mad people, you start to become mad. If you're around people who have anxiety, you start to get it. So one of the ways you empower people and motivate people, not just yourself, is you've got to feel the energy, number one, and have it so it's real. And you generate that by your thinking, by renewing your mind, reprogramming your mind, and by expressing it. And the more you express it and say it out loud to somebody else and express your emotions, the more impact and influence you're going to have to hopefully influence them to make a better decision for their better life in a way that's a win-win for both of you. So if you want to be more influential and more powerful, you've got to do all three. You got to be optimistic. You got to think with new ways and be more creative, and get rid of some of the old thinking, the old stinking thinking, like Zig Ziglar used to talk about, stinking thinking. You got to renew your mind, and you've got to harness the power of energy. That's the only place you have any power at all. It's energy. If you don't have energy, you have no power. If you don't have enough emotional energy or enough of the right emotions, it's like being emotionally retarded or emotionally disabled or mentally disabled, because that's where the power is. It's like trying to drive an 8-cylinder car on 1 or 2 cylinders. To have the full power, you need to be fully alive with the emotions, particularly the emotions of happiness and joy. That's where you have the most influence. So that's my secret formula for tonight, Peter. You can be the one, but if you want to be the one who makes a big difference for yourself and others, and even become a hero in your own story and have greater success and happiness and money, you got to see yourself as the one who can do it, and harness the power, the dynamics of these 3 elements of optimism, the new thinking, the new perspective, and emotional energy. So I think that's it for tonight. Any comments or questions, Peter?
Great information. For a lot of people that want to hear this stuff again, make sure you go back to buildingfortunesradio.com/Ray-Gebauer. So buildingfortunesradio.com/Ray-Gebauer. And Ray, could you give us your contact information? Because some people would probably want to get in touch with you. And we have 1 minute left.
Okay, yeah, 1 minute. Yeah, easy to get a hold of me. Just call me on my phone number. Call or text any time of the day. My number is 360-206-9266. So again, it's 360-206-9266. I'd love to have a conversation with you about possibilities, see if we might be a fit. Maybe I can help you in what you're doing, or maybe you need to consider something new and work with me. I would love to help you. I'm looking for good people to work with. And I'm involved in a very, very exciting project, and I'm just so excited about it. And maybe it might be a good fit for you too. So let's have a conversation about that. Call me anytime.
We're going to catch everybody next week. Thanks for being here. For those people listening in, you just heard from Ray Gebauer, and we will be back next week. Thanks, everyone.
You've been listening to Building Fortunes Radio on buildingfortunesradio.com. Thanks for listening. Be sure to check us out every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for the designated Building Fortunes Radio segment with Peter Mingles. Be sure to check out the buildingfortunesradio.com website for our featured segments. It's been our privilege to have you listen in. At Building Fortunes Radio, we wish you the success you deserve and are willing to work for. So spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world.